Welcome to This Restored Heart, the show dedicated to helping you heal, rebuild, and thrive after divorcing a narcissist. I'm your host, Corey Sullivan, and each week I'll be sharing practical tips, expert insights, and powerful stories to support you on your journey to freedom and empowerment. I'm here to guide you through the challenges of moving forward in each and every single episode. We will talk about actionable advice, sharing inspiring stories, and explore the tools you need to rebuild your life on your terms. Whether you're seeking clarity, strength, or a fresh start, this podcast can be your companion on the road to your recovery. Together, we'll turn pain into power and help you create the life you were meant to live. Co-parenting with a former spouse who was narcissistic is like navigating a battlefield, am I correct? I mean, with the manipulation, the gaslighting, the alienation, and other control tactics really and truly leave you a lot of times frustrated. And you're just wanting to protect your child. You want to maintain the peace, and you want to find a way to be able to stand firm, right? My name is Corey Sullivan, founder of This Restored Heart. And I'm here today to share with you some tactics and some tips on navigating the co-parenting issues with your former narcissistic spouse. So let's jump right in, because the very first thing I want you to know is, or to understand is, as long as you understand the narcissist and where they're coming from and what they do and all of their games and all the things that they do, you know, as long as you know those things, you can actually make a plan on how to navigate all of that. And that's true of any situation. Am I correct? So it feels almost like you have to reason with them because they refuse to play by the rules. You know, they are the masters of control and manipulation. And the thing is, first and foremost, that you want to protect your child or children from that. You know, explain to them if they're old enough, and if they're 6 or 7 years old, you can find the words to navigate this and explain this to them. That because, you know, there's the reality, and then there's the narcissistic reality, and as long as you stay in the reality and talk with your children or child about this is reality, they will learn that this is how it, you know, this is where the real stuff is. Over here's where my former, your former spouse is over here trying to readjust things, right? So they may deny, that a conversation even happened or agreement never ever happened. As long as you stay with the agreement that you made in court and have your, because you had to do a lot of very detailed things in that agreement, then that is the reality. And so that is something that you can say to your child or children, this is what we agreed to. Now, mom or dad are trying to, move it around now, but we're going to stick to this because this is the reality. This is what we agreed to. And I felt at the time, and so did your mom or dad, felt at the time that this was the best for you. So because it was the best for you, we are going to stick with the agreement first and foremost. And then then your former narcissist will try the triangulation where you bring in somebody else from the family, maybe a grandparent or an aunt and uncle or a friend, whomever. And even the legal system sees those people as pawns in the narcissistic scheme of things, right? So they weren't part of the agreement. So therefore, they are not part of any of the changes that the narcissist wants to make. And again, it's all right there in writing. The emotional manipulation of guilt tripping your child to bend their will you need to let your child know that if it doesn't feel good, in their, they get a little knot in their tummy or something like that because it just doesn't feel good, or they're kind of hesitating because it, sounds like mom or dad's trying to talk me into something that isn't quite right, because you've probably talked to them about the agreements that were made in court. Then they can actually say, mom or dad, they'll say, maybe your narcissist will say, mom or dad doesn't want you to have any fun. So, or if they really cared, then, they'd let you decide. No, that is putting all the responsibility on your child or children. That's not what it's for. So let your child know that if there's any type of manipulation or anything like that, and use another scenario, like maybe somebody, some child on the playground at school you've got something that they want to play with. And so they try to coerce you or manipulate you into letting them have that in exchange for something that you really don't want. Well, it's the same thing if mom or dad tries to do those types of things. They're just trying to manipulate you into making a decision that you probably don't, you've already made the decision and you don't really need to. So it's okay to say, no, I'm not going to do that, or I don't want to do that. I don't feel comfortable doing that, whatever it is. And letting it go at that. And if it gets to be too much, it's okay for them to text you and say, I need to talk to you, or call you, just call you. And then you can talk with your former spouse about the situation. So there's a lot of different things that your former spouse, who is a narcissist, is going to try to do to alienate you from your children. But as long as you are consistent with your kids and they see that this is the agreement that was made, in these situations, when you were both in front of a mediator or somebody from the court, working things out to keep things balanced and safe for your child, they'll know and appreciate that. And they'll know and appreciate it as long as you're remaining at peace and talking in a regular, volume, and not getting angry and controlled by your former spouse. So that leads us into parallel parenting. So, if co-parenting isn't a viable situation, then because there's constant conflict, or the other parent becomes just hard to deal with, and you're not able to come to any type of agreement, even though there was already an agreement in place, then parallel parenting, not easy to say, parallel parenting minimizes the interaction between you and the narcissist by creating clear, separate boundaries. Those were made in your parenting agreement. You just need to go back to them and then remind the other parent, the narcissistic parent, that was the agreement and that's what you're sticking to. There's not going to be any deviation from that whatsoever. And then it limits the time for arguments. And you may even have to involve at that point a neutral person that can, give them a copy of the parenting agreement and then just say, I can't communicate with my spouse, my former spouse, because he or she won't listen to me. And they're trying to change all of the agreements that we initially made because, whatever reason. So, it has not been amicable. It has not been healthy for the children. So, and it has disturbed my peace and my ability to stand firm So would you please come in and do this for us? And sometimes the court will appoint someone as well if you don't have anybody. You'll have to pay them, but they'll do it. And then you have the drop off and the pickup at neutral places with this person. All communication goes through email, through text messages that this person is part of, so that there's A, documentation, B, a person that's kind of a go-between, and you're sticking to the agreement, and this is what it is, and they basically don't have any skin in the game, for a lack of a better term, and other than to protect the child. So that is a great tool to use. And then you want to empower your child to, once your child gains their sense of self in this situation, that is amazing for your child. It does make them feel safer, it does make them feel stronger in the situation and just more sure of themselves. So teach them critical thinking about, help your child recognize when they're being manipulated, whether it's on the playground, whether it's at school, in that school, or maybe on the bus or on the walk home. Bullies, if they're being bullied, you need to know that, because in teaching them critical thinking will help them in those situations as well. And it just creates a more well-rounded, secure child, right? It encourage them to, by asking them questions like, what do you think about the situation, or how does this make you feel? And so that you get their input, and then you arrive at a decision or on an event or whatever it is, based upon critically thinking about the whole thing, the whole scenario, all the way through, So, and you may just utilize, like I did a little bit ago, maybe they're out on the playground and they've got something that somebody else wants to play with, or they're on the swing and somebody wants their swing or the teeter-totter or whatever, but they're having a good time. It's okay to say, I will let you have the swing in 5 more minutes or 3 more minutes or whatever, because I really, I was on here first and I'm enjoying it. And then that gives the other child an opportunity to be on the swing in a little bit, and they can look forward to that. So, and have them be able to say that just in a matter-of-fact, calm way, so that it doesn't antagonize anybody else. And that once they recognize that they can just speak in a calm, straightforward tone, they're going to learn how to be able to move through those situations, and model healthy behavior. The next thing is boundaries. Show your child that it's okay to say no and express that feeling respectfully. It's somebody wants to, mom or dad, the other spouse wants to maybe take them someplace that that they know that you don't want them to go to because it's maybe not safe, or it's not age appropriate, or something like that. And you let them know that it's okay to say no. And if the former spouse still wants to just insist that that's what you do, it's okay. Again, text me or text the third party that we're using in parallel parenting, so that they feel like they have a go-to escape. But it's okay to say no. It's okay to express their feelings respectfully. So it basically affirms them the right to love both parents, but by saying, no, that doesn't feel comfortable for me, or I know that I'm not supposed to be doing those things, or whatever. Again, create a safe emotional space. Let your child know that they can share their feelings with you at any time for any reason about anything. And they're not going to be judged. They're not going to have any retaliation from you. And just reassure them that they're not responsible for managing adult emotions and behaviors. And again, if they're starting to feel uncomfortable, that's the time for them to text you or, or the third party person and, have a resolution to the issue. Then when negative messages do come, because they're going to come, maybe the narcissist is making demands or demeaning comments about you, and let them know, well, Dad, I'm sorry that, or Mom, either one, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but I love my mom or dad. And I'm sorry that that's how you feel about it, but I feel safe with them, or I enjoy when we do these things. And so, teach them it's okay to say those types of things to the narcissistic spouse when they're being manipulated or controlled or gaslighted or anything like that. The goal is to always be kind and fair and let them know that that's what you're attempting to do. So empowering your child isn't about controlling how they feel. It's about giving them a platform to speak how they feel to you, and then equip them to navigate through the challenging situations that they're going to, probably come in touch with. And it may not be, it even helps with the school situation, other kids at school and the neighborhood and so on, as well as a former spouse. So you're really and truly equipping them and empowering them. And they're smarter than you think, and they know things. So just be upfront and honest. It's okay to have a conversation about the parenting guide and the things that were agreed upon, at a time when there wasn't, all the manipulation going on and the control. It's okay to do that, to a certain level, depending on their age. If they're little, like 4 and 5, well, Mom and Dad agreed, when we were going through the divorce, and we talked about you and certain things. It's right here in our parenting guide. And then just show them that little whatever it is. They will know that they were thought of through the whole process in order to have a good outcome for them and to be safe. So really and truly just creating the space for them to be safe, to feel confident and empowered, that they don't have to go along with everything that comes up. And they'll not only use those tools, in dealing with your former spouse, but they'll use those tools at school. And it's a good thing for them to know. So I hope that this has blessed you. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to provide you a 30-minute consultation at no cost, just to go through some of these things. You can get the link below, and let's talk about it. So bye for now.